There's always another one. So this guy was, he was in contact with someone who tested positive, not from around here. And he just tested himself and he's negative, but his doctor says he should quarantine. So he wants to know if he should quarantine.
Cool.
Okay, so what?
No, the doctor said quarantine. What's the shaila? You know.
So he's asking you if he has
that's
to listen to the doctor?
That was question number one. Fine. So now I was like, okay, what are you kidding me? The doctor said, yeah. Now here's where you have to be down the kafschus. He said, I have an issue. I gotta make a pidyon aben motzei Shabbos.
So what? Who cares?
A pidyon aben is a mitzvah that has to be done with a kohen.
So is not murdering people.
You're not murdering, Jesse, somebody.
Well, depends on who you're around.
No, you have to figure out a way how to do it.
Okay, he can make you the
He could be in his
both-
car and have it done in his house.
Jesse, if you both wear masks, there's not a doctor in the world that's going to say that you're chayav for murder.
100%. But Jews don't wear
so
masks.
What?
Jews don't do masks.
Many Jews do, but the question is, what's the best way of him going about doing this pidyon aben?
You should call the doctor and ask him.
Yeah, that's whatever. Should he do it with a minion? Should he not do it with a minion? Right?
Yaakov, the CDC says that you have a constitutional right to vote, even if you're COVID positive. Your constitution gives you the right to go vote in person, put on a mask. If you're nice, you could tell the people in the voting place that you have COVID. But it's your constitutional right, therefore put on a mask and you're okay.
Okay, but constitutional rights doesn't have anything to do with halacha.
But
you say all the more so.
He's saying that if it's good for them, it's good for us. And that's just it.
That's not a right svara. What?
The mitzvah of pidyon aben is on the father or on the kid?
Father.
But it's halacha to have it with a minion?
But Pashta's not.
Right. So
Pashta's
what's
not.
the shaila? You do
Pashta's not. What?
Do pidyon aben outside. Finish.
You should do it him with the kohen and finished.
Not only that, but if it's
I'd rather
important,
know a
then you
client
spend
that
your
just-
money on it. There's things you can buy to make sure you can't give it to someone else.
Yaakov, I got a client that just got over COVID, so if they need.
Tell him to get a coin with antibodies and do it outside.
Oh, now you're talking. Yeah.
Wait, so what do you paskin? What do you tell the guy?
Paskin, I'm doing the daf.
Oh.
That came in while we're schmoozing over here.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. Okay, anyways, that was the shot. Tonight we can make a shtickle siyum on Eruvin, because tonight is the last daf of Eruvin sugyas.
Oh, thank God.
All right. After that, we get to the next. What?
Chazara?
Chazara, yeah, I don't know. Chazara is we made a gzeir against Chazara.
Where are you starting from tonight?
We're starting from 3 lines up from the bottom of Tzadi Gimel on the base. All right.
After.
So cool.
My great uncle.
Very good. So after after tonight, the next parak, it goes into under the first couple of bots, women wearing tefillin. We're back to more gishmaka controversial sugyas. All right. Okay. So now just the chazah from yesterday. So
Jack, speaking of which, they did say that one thing by the kosher that this whole COVID thing did is the women at the wall haven't been active since COVID started.
I haven't heard them being blamed for the COVID. I don't know if I heard that one. Yeah, anyway. Okay. So yesterday, what are we saying? So we were trying to prove where a mechitza can make something puzzle. So we said by putting up a sukkah, we're actually gonna have this case again tonight. We have a sukkah with 2 walls, and then you had petzimin, right, on those walls, and then you put a wall in front of that, so that would puzzle up the sukkah. Then we had a couple of rayas from vineyards, and then we had the cases of the karfifs, 3 people stuck in the middle of nowhere. Each one built their own mechitzas. Then we had a different, 2 in the middle, 2 in that, 1 on the outside, all the different scenarios. And Amud was the case of the 1 yard that's above the other yard, like in Harnof, where you 1 yard, it's like built into a mountain. Which one is the mechitza for which? And then we were discussing is if people move into an eruv on Shabbos, do they make it also? So that's what we're picking it up. So we're on the bottom of Tzadi Gimel Amud Beis Itmar. Yeah. So Kaisel Shabein Shtei Chatzeres. If you have a wall between 2 Chatzeres, Shanafal, and then it fell down on Shabbos. Again, what we're discussing here, we're trying to figure out is if the eruv goes down on Shabbos. One of the things we're trying to figure out is if the eruv goes down on Shabbos, does it remain kosher for the rest of Shabbos or not? Right? So Itmar, Kaisel Shabein Shtei Chatzeres, Shanafal. A wall that was in between 2 yards and it fell down. Now, if it's in between, if there's a wall in between 2 yards, then they clearly couldn't make an eruv with each other. So there's no eruv with each other because there was a wall there. Yeah. If that wall falls down, so now you're missing your 4th wall of your eruv. So there's no longer an eruv, so you can only walk Dalet Amos. Shmuel Amar. And Shmuel says, now we're on Talmud Aleph, ad ikar mechitza. Each field, each yard on the other side of this, on each side of this wall can carry up to the mechitza that used to be there. Why? Because we're saying that Shmuel's clearly holding that once the eruv is up before Shabbos, then it stays kosher throughout Shabbos. Right?
Do they end up getting an extra 2 tefachim essentially?
What do you mean?
Can they go to where the middle of the wall was, or only up to where it was? It had to be 4 tefachim wide. If it was less than 4 tefachim wide, then they would have had to do it together, no?
Well, they could have done both. They could have
done either. Yeah.
Right. So if they didn't make an eruv, so then they wouldn't be able to. I hear, but I don't know if in that scenario would you get an extra 2 tefachim? I'm not sure. I hear. Right. Okay. So then the Gemara says, "V'had Rav la beferish itmar ela miklala itmar." This is a very interesting story. At least if you wanted a break from Eruvin, this story right here is a shtickle a break from Eruvin, right? So Rav didn't say this beferish. He said if we learned it out from something that happened. The Rav and Shmuel have a yasubahu chotzer. Rav and Shmuel was sitting in a chotzer. Nafal guda de beini, and the wall between the 2 yards fell down. Amalu Shmuel shkulu glimu. Go take a glima is what do you call it? Some sort of shirt or some sort of clothing, and negiduba, and hang it up in the part of the wall that broke. Adrinu Rav la'apei, and Rav turned away. Right? He turned away so he shouldn't see that what was going on. Like Rashi says, because he held it, it's usur. Again, Shmuel held you're allowed to carry, even though there's no longer a kosher eruv in the yard. Shmuel said you're allowed to carry in the eruv. Right, because it was kosher from before Shabbos, and Rav held not like that. So Rav turned away.
Wasn't this Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel earlier? Similar.
Yes, we're going to have it also on the bottom of the Amud.
Okay.
We're going to have it on the bottom of the Amud too. Was it Beis Shammai Beis Hillel? It's a Bay and Rav. Was it Beis Shammai Beis Hillel? Well, we're going to have
curtains,
more.
Had they brought the curtains out, we had the whole.
Oh, that was a different thing. That was a mechitza materes.
Yeah, were the curtains there beforehand? Were they not? Did they just draw them across? Did they take them out from somewhere else?
Right, so Rashi, somebody, one of the Rishonim holds. Rashi says he has an issue because of Shabbos, right?
So why did he say anything? What are we turning?
So Gemara is going to ask that. But so Rashi says it's because of this sugya that the eruv didn't go down on the eruv went down on Shabbos. Rav holds you not allowed to carry in it. Others say no, it's because he put up a mechitza materes. Anyways, whatever it is, so Rav turned his face. Amalu Shmuel, ikapid Abba, shkulu habeni b'katrabe. So Shmuel realized that Rav turned away, right? So he said, ikapid Abba. That's how he referred to Rav. So we had this way when a bunch of blot ago that where we said over there that he called him Abba because that was a lashon. Some say his name was Abba, but they called him Rav because he was Rav. Rav was way older than Shmuel, right? Because Rav was a Tanu Palik. Even though Rav and Shmuel seem to be arguing about everything, that Rav was much older than Shmuel, right? So by calling him Abba, it was a sign of respect. But he said, Abba shkula manivakajaba. If you don't like this, right, then what you should do is take take it and tie it even shkulud hamine, take your, which would, whether regardless, take your belt and tie it even tighter. Right now, exactly what that means, right? What that doesn't. So what is that going to help anything, right? What's that going to help? So you're going to take that belt and tie up your shirt on the thing. Seems like he was just. It seems like he wasn't by being maida to Rav. He was just sort of saying, okay, I don't know, do whatever else, do whatever you want, whatever it is. Whatever it is, that's a story. So then we say, L'Shmuel, Lamaliha, what do you need to do? They say, why do you have to put up? Why did Shmuel have to put up this clothing to block the break in the wall? Right? Shmuel holds that the eruv is kosher for the whole Shabbos. If the eruv goes down on Shabbos, it's kosher. So why do you have to block up that hole? Right? So Shmuel, up the tznius of Amos. So we answer, no, Shmuel did it for tznius. He just did it for tznius. He wouldn't ask him to hang up the shmata or the whatever it was, the shirt, just out making a mechitza on Shabbos. He told him to hang it up because he wanted privacy, right? Believe it or not, there's such a thing as tznius having nothing to do with women's clothing, right? That's for sure. You see from here. I can't imagine Shmuel was wearing shorts and he didn't want anybody to see him, right? It was just the tznius. There's such a thing as tznius. I don't know. He wanted privacy, right? The week that they're sitting shiva Rav David Feinstein, I think, right? That's Pasha, right? Rav David Feinstein was the most snua of anybody. Nobody knew what was coming or going with him, right? The most quiet gadol. Anyways, so for Rav, and what about Rav? Isvirale to Aser, Lamale. If Rav held that it was Aser, why didn't he say something to Shmuel? Why did he turn away? So the Gemara answers, Asrei the Shmuel Hava, which is a musar into itself, right? Unto itself. This was Shmuel's town. Rav couldn't disagree with him. Again, really, Rav was way older than Shmuel, right? So you would think Rav would just say, "Hey, what are you doing?" No, this was Shmuel's territory. It was not Rav's place to tell him no. To Iachi, my time adrunu la pay. So why did he turn away? So Gemara says, "The loy nemru kishmuel svili," because if he doesn't turn away, then everybody's going to say, "You see, Rav holds like Shmuel." Right? So this. Yeah, so that's the end of that story. So this gets into this is, I don't know if you can say it's a common issue, but let's say you disagree with somebody on something, and you know that if you stay quiet, everybody's going to think that you agree, right? So what do? You can't disagree because it's not your place to disagree. But on the other hand, it's going to make it look like you're pro. So what do? Right? So Rav, what Rav did is he didn't disagree, but he just turned away, so he shouldn't be looking. So it looks like he doesn't want to see the isser that's going on. Right? That's what it seems. Right? I'm trying to think of a practical example of this, of where you may agree or disagree. I guess you're in a shul and you're not interested in standing up for the Mishabera for the Medina, let's say, right? Oh, so what do? If you stand up with them, so you're showing that you agree. Again, I'm not getting into whether you should or you shouldn't. I personally would stand up, but let's say you hold that, no, you're a stark anti-Medina guy. So what do?
You
if
can
you
go to
don't
the bathroom.
To go in the bathroom is a good eitzah. That is a good eitzah, right? So you can stand. Seems like you can't just go against them. So you got to do something to show that it's different. So look down at the floor. I don't know, something like that. Do something. Do a quasi. But anyways, that is a problem that you always find.
Pick up a chumash.
What?
Pick up a chumash. Start doing Shnai Mikra.
I guess whatever it is, you want to do something that shows that you're not in agreement, but you can't disagree because that wouldn't be right. Okay.
Going to shul on Yom Ha'atzmaut. I didn't realize it was Yom Ha'atzmaut. They were saying how.
Yeah.
They have a bike-a-thon, you know.
A bike-a-thon what?
Darke has a bike-a-thon.
Oh, on Yom Ha'atzmaut?
I think so.
On the day of the parade.
I love Darke.
No, that's Israeli Day Parade,
They
right?
have
Israeli Day Parade. Israeli Day Parade.
Either way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yaakov, you could do like a shul that we used to have in the Rockaways till we were locked out, where everybody sits anyway, so it doesn't matter whether it's for laning or for the Mishabech. Like this, it's all inclusive.
I guess so, right. But some in the main show, they're also sitting for it.
I believe I heard from Rabbi Force and Reb Feivel Cohen that about Yom HaTzamis to walk out by Hallel and say Tachnun.
Say who?
Say Tachnun outside. They don't say Tachnun. They replace it with Hallel. Yeah,
right,
to walk out and say Tachnun.
By the way, Rabbi Kalish is the only shul in town who makes a mishaberch for the Sahal.
No, the shul Peretz.
It's not
that was
true.
talking
No. I'm talking about yeshivish places.
Rabbi Hertzberg made it Mishaber Futsal.
Rabbi Hertzberg.
Right?
Yes, that's what Peretz was referring to.
Oh,
but they don't stand up. That's what Peretz was saying, but they don't stand up.
Maybe they're lazy.
We don't stand up and we don't stop talking, but it's all inclusive in the whole landing and everything else.
There you go. Okay, fine. All right, so the easy part of the daf is now over with. Okay, Zok the Mishnah.
Parents, what happened to that minion? It's not around anymore, is it?
Yeah, you know how things get. You speak to mechanics and it locked up and all of that. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Can I ask something?
Yeah, they're working. Yes.
We had a bunch of times already where not a Rebbe and a Talmud, but an Amayra and a younger Amayra, where the younger Amayra paskin in front of the older one, and the Gemara asked, how could he do it? And the Gemara answered, whatever, he was a Talmud, V'chaver. Why doesn't the Gemara ask it here? If Rav Shmuel called him Abba for Kavod.
So the way I understand it is that I think that's why the Gemara says that it was Shmuel's town. It was Shmuel's responsibility to paskin.
So what happens in that case? The Reb Chaim Kanievsky Shlita goes to New York. Who gets to paskin?
I would imagine Reb Chaim Kanievsky would defer to the rabbis in New York, but I would hope the rabbis in New York are smart enough to ask Reb Chaim for his opinion. That's what I would hope would happen.
That's what I would think too.
Right. So you're saying that didn't happen here. I hear. Unless, you know what, maybe Shmuel didn't think Rav would disagree with him.
He didn't know they were chaylik on each other.
I don't know, because as it is, it's a machlokes Rishonim really what the issue was, right? Rashi says it was the issue that we're talking about, which makes sense because that's why we're bringing this story here. Whether the eruv falls down on Shabbos, does it maintain its kosher over Shabbos, right? But according to others that say that it was hanging up the thing, so maybe I don't know. I hear. Yeah, very confusing subject. This whole thing of when you're allowed to paskin and when you're not. Okay, let's see the Mishnah. Yeah, so chotzer shenifritz reshus harabim. If you have a chotzer that busted open into reshus harabim, right? The wall, meaning you have your classic, house on a main street, and then the fence breaks. So now, what's the status? So amachnas v'saychel reshus hayachid, reshus hayachid l'saycha chayev. Those that carry from the reshus hayachid, right, to this yard, reshus hayachid l'saycha, or from a reshus hayachid, or to the meaning. What's it? Hamachnas misaychel reshus hayachid. If you carry from this chotzer that was broken open, that's open to reshus harabim, and you carry to another reshus hayachid, or from reshus hayachid into this yard, then you're chayiv. Diri Rabbi Eliezer, you're chayiv, and that's shitas Rabbi Eliezer. Yeah. Now, what does that mean? That means he's considering this yard a reshus harabim. You hear the chiddush? Bottom line is your yard has no fence on it. Is it reshus harabim or reshus hayachid? Saying you have your front yard. Most people don't have fences in their front yard, right? You go down your front steps, you have a yard there. According to Rabbi Eliezer, that is considered a reshus harabim, right? That's what he's saying. So that's Rabbi Eliezer.
It's not separated by mechitzas. If it's not separated, then within, it's the same, it has the
I mean,
16
it's still
amas of the
it's
connected to it.
but it's a reshus hayachid. Bottom line, it's a
Shouldn't it be a
private property.
carmelist?
Oh, very good. L'chayra, it should be a carmelist, right? It shouldn't be reshus hayachid. It's a private. At the maximum, it should be a carmelist. Right?
Does it depend?
Not
if
the public
first-
has no rights to it. That's the bottom line. The public does not have a right to this guy's yard. Right?
Does it
Public
depend if
having
the
rights
first
is
foot
something
of
that-
grass is
What do you say?
not grass anymore? Does it depend if the first foot of grass is now mud, not grass anymore?
No. What's
That
it-
means
what's
they've
the
been
difference?
hixikba, rabim exikuba.
I don't think that should change. I mean, that's the Gemara is going to ask. Meaning, if the rabbim goes through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. So that the Gemara is going to discuss what's a shot in this. But whatever it is, that's what Rabbi
That's
Eliezer
a
holds.
different case. It's not this case.
Well, it's going to be totally. Did the rabbim adopt this yard as theirs?
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So that's what. Yeah, we'll have to see. So that's Rabbi Eliezer shita. Chamar mitaychel reshus harabim or reshus harabim l'soicha potter mipnei sheika carmelis. You potter because it's a carmelis. You're not allowed to do it, right? Which we know. That's for sure. We know if your front yard, you're not allowed to. If you have no eruv, you're not allowed to carry from your front yard to the street, according to everybody, right? He's a potter again. We're going way back. Potter means it's potter aval osir. You're not allowed to carry from the yard, but if you did, you're potter. Why? Because the yard is a carmelis, right? Okay, again, so that's a machlokes. So Eliezer holds the yard, the fence breaks in the front yard. That front yard gets adopted by the reshus harabim, which the Gemara is going to spend quite a few lines figuring out why he says that, right? And that's Rabbi Eliezer. And Chachamim say no, it's a carmelis. You're not allowed to carry to and from the reshus harabim, but if you did, you're going to be potter.
Front yard
Can I
getting
ask a
adopted.
stupid question?
Hold on a second. What do you want
Go
to say,
ahead.
Yuri?
The front yard getting adopted by the reshus harabim, is that not similar to the small yard and the big yard that we had earlier? Same concept, that the small yard gets adopted by the big yard? and
Yeah,
not the
that's
other way
true,
around?
but that's only because the way the mechitzas were situated.
Correct, but I'm saying conceptually, if we see that the concept is, right, that the small yard always gets adopted by the big yard, right? Even from a
Right.
mechitza standpoint. So why would we think, what's the havamina to think that this would be any different?
No, because
Meaning
here,
your mechitza is essentially broken now. There's nothing stopping the small yard from being part of the bigger yard anymore, right?
right,
It's
but the
there's
bottom
no
line
problem.
is that right. I hear your point. But here, there's no eruv going on. There's no eruv, not in the reshus harabim. Obviously, no eruv reshus harabim,
Right.
and there's no eruv in your thing. So there's not. It's not about allowing you to carry or not. According to everybody, you're not allowed to carry because there's no eruv. There,
There's
in
no
the
eruv
case
to
of the
begin
big,
with.
in
Yeah.
the bin chutzah, there was an eruv. It's just a matter of who do we allow. Binyamin, would you want to say something before?
That was me.
No, I know, but then before that, I think Binyamin wants to say, no, you're good. Okay, yeah, go Gershon. What are you saying?
What you just said leads into what I was going to ask. Why is this Mishna in Eruvin, not in Shabbos?
You're jumping the gun. Tosfos asks that on the next parak. He asks that kasha, right?
And that's some in the whole parak. But this Mishna in Gent, stop.
Why? I mean, it's a
There's
reshus
nothing to do
harabim
with
reshus
Eruvin.
hayachid.
To do with carrying from Reshus Rav and Shmuel.
You're right. It really should be. You're right. That doesn't. Yeah, you're right. It's a Shabbos. It's a Shabbos.
Yeah, but
thing.
the whole
It's not-
Eruvin and Shabbos go hand in hand. You don't need an Eruv on Tuesday.
Right. So all of Eruvin should really be part
Aaron,
of the
I'm
Shabbos.
sorry for talking about it, but I figured
Yeah, I said you're taking over for Ramar in their parents with that answer. yeah. And a Hanami, right? I think it's like winding us down from Eruvin, maybe. So it's slowly letting us down. No, but I hear. Okay, so let's see. So Zogding more. Rabbi Eliezer mishum de nifritza reshus harabim habila reshus hayachid hashus harabim. I'm sorry, because something is open to reshus harabim, that becomes a reshus harabim. How could that be? Right. So you say Rabbi Eliezer l'tamei. Yes, Rabbi Eliezer says that. The Tanya Rabbi Yehuda, I remember Shum Rabbi Eliezer. Rabim sheberu derech la'atzvam ma sheberu beru. If the public chooses a path through a reshus hayachid, then what the public chooses, they choose. Right. This is the famous thing. Like if you allow the public to go through your yard, right, then you can't close it up anymore. Right. If you allow them Okay, how much time? That's above a basra sugi, right? Whether how much time you have to let them come, how you close it. I remember Rabbi Kleinkaufman because my mother has that with Rabbi Kleinkaufman to cut through. Rabbi Per cuts through Rabbi Kleinkaufman, and every once in a while they would close the gates, just to make sure that in case they ever decided that they wanted to put an end to it, so then they were able to, right? So that's what he's saying.
That happened in the Farakaway mikvah. Ask Aaron Baruch's why. They wanted to shut down a lot of the women on Friday night, use his backyard to walk through from Beach Ninth instead of walking all the way around.
Right.
They wanted to lock it up, I think.
And they didn't let him?
I think some people tried and the Rabbanan said you can't.
Yeah.
I don't know. My mother has no issue with keeping it open.
She's a tzaddik, that's why. So that's,
no, but they made them put up the fence. When they put up the fence, they made them put up doors.
I mean, when the mikveh put up the fence. Yeah, on the parking lot. Yeah, I hear.
So just lock the fence on Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur.
I don't. I guess that would be that. Yeah, that would just. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And now it's a parking lot for Siyach Yitzchak Rebbeim. So. I don't know if that's true, but I think that was part of it.
They used the mikvah, Yaakov.
Okay, so good. It works out perfect for them. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what we're saying. So we're talking about a yard where the rabim goes through it, right? Which comes out a big nafkamina, right? So let's say the rabim decided, let's say a guy has dogs and he leaves them in his yard. Big dogs, Yossi, not small little dogs. He got big dogs, right? And he makes sure nobody steps on his grass. So then Rebbe Eliezer would say that then he would consider it a carmelis. It wouldn't be reshus haram because the rabbim didn't go there, right? So Gemara says, "Eini, it's not true." This is only talking about when they lost, which I guess it's a large field. So what does Rebbe Eliezer say that the field becomes part of reshus haram? That's where they know that they had some access to the field, but they had no idea where that access was, right? Then Rebbe Eliezer says, okay, since we know they had access somewhere in the field, so then that field becomes reshus haram. So maybe that's what happens here. So here too, it's talking about where they lost their way in the chutzner. So Rav Chanina says, no, the machlokes is only up until where the wall was, right? After that, there's no machlokes, right? Yeah. Meaning what? Meaning the only part with machlokes of Rebbe Eliezer and Chachamim is meaning. Let's say the fence was a few feet into the property, right? So up until there, that's where there's a machlokes. But within the other side of the fence, everybody says that it's not. So, but whatever it is, it's that part is a reshus haram straight. So Gemara says, "Ema al makam mechitza machlokes." No, what it means is by the makam of the mechitza, right? Where the mechitza was, that's where the machlokes is, but not more than that. Okay, so the first teretz is that the somehow the rabbim had some sort of access to this yard, right? And that's why he's considering it reshus haram. Viba is saying, we say a second answer. B'tzidei reshus harabim, and this we had in Shabbos. That strengthens your kasha geshen, right? With this, it's just the machlokes over the sides of reshus haram, not reshus harabim, mamash the sides of reshus haram. The Rebbe Eliezer saw b'tzidei reshus haram, reshus haram. The sides, like let's call it a sidewalk for lack of a better way. Is the sidewalk reshus harabim or is the sidewalk reshus hayachid? Right. So Rebbe Eliezer holds tzidei reshus harabim k'reshus haram dama. That's a reshus haram. Rabbanan tzami tzidei reshus haram lav k'reshus haram dama. And it's the sides of reshus haram are not reshus haram. Right. Yeah. Meaning even though the area is owned by a yachid, still we consider it as part of the rabbim. So Gemara says, if that's the case, so why are you making a whole fancy machlokes if the wall falls down and the yard is part of it? Just say that there's a machlokes in Rebbe Eliezer and the Chachamim where the sides of reshus haram are considered reshus haram, right? So if reshus haram ba'alma, no, because if they had a disagreement by tzidei reshus haram, havamina, I would have thought kipligi rabbanon leidu Rebbe Eliezer hani mili hechad ika chifufi. That's only where there's like little poles. Sometimes you have poles on the side, especially now with securities, right? So they'll put poles on the sidewalk so no cars They have it in Manhattan a lot now, right? Like these thick poles.
Yeah.
Airports, they have it, right? So no cars could.
Young Israel of Lawrence Cedarhurst.
Oh, right, very good. Young Israel Lawrence Cedarhurst has that, right?
All along Peninsula Boulevard, all the houses there have it.
Yeah. What? Because of the
If
cars
you
going
look
fast?
all along Peninsula Boulevard, almost every single house has these cement-filled poles. Because
Never noticed
people
it.
drive crazy, yeah.
There's a word for it.
Interesting. Okay, so that's what it's. I never noticed it. Sahani mili.
Bollards.
What?
They're technically called bollards. Bollards. Yeah.
Okay, you learn something new every day.
Gershon, you don't have to smirk. They're not all called ballards. Certain types are called ballards, and certain types are not. It's okay.
Oh, that's good. Harder.
The Oracle from Cleveland, but you don't know everything.
I just want to know, do you have Google up and you're looking this up, or is it like off the top of your head?
No, it's a more common word in England where I grew up.
Yeah, that's what kind of figure. Yeah, because they're as straight as bollards over there. Probably that's why.
Don't get Aaron
No,
started.
but
Aaron probably
they
has a
always
story with
drive
the
drunk.
Rivington Bollards.
I thought that was the word bollocks. Or that's a different word.
That's not to
You're
be.
right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Avi,
When
that's
I
not
was
a
growing
nice
up,
word, Avi.
it was us. We were in high school. We weren't allowed to go to the Bollards.
Did anybody get that one?
Anybody said what he said?
I think in America we call them
Billiards. Billiards.
Billiards.
Billiards.
Billiards is pool.
I know.
Pool.
I know.
Okay.
Parrots.
Right.
I got it right away.
I
Parrots.
used to play as a kid.
Very good. Anyway, so we're talking about where you had these metal things,
We should probably
right? Whatever you want to call them, whatever floats your boat. I'll just call them metal things. How's that? Like an American amoritz, right? Yeah. Aval heicha telekach chifufi. But if there was none of these poles over there, Ema moidele, so you would think he would be moide, right? Because there's no pole to block it. So it's either reshus ram or reshus ram kamash malon. That teaches us that no, that whether there's those poles there, whether they're not there, it's going to be that there's going to be a machlokes. Oh, but the problem is it says mitoicha amar, right? It says in the Mishna, it says mitoicha l'reshus hayachid, right? Mitoicha doesn't sound like it sounds from in the yard. Anybody that carries from the yard to the reshus haram, it doesn't sound like the edge of the yard where it meets the reshus haram. It sounds like from the entire yard. So when it says "Aidi damar rabbanon mitoicha," amar yunami mitoicha. No, the rabbanon said it in the seifa mitoicha l'reshus haram l'toicha. So therefore, he used also the same term, but it doesn't mean that. It means it's either reshus haram, right? Rabbanon amar Rebbe Eliezer tzidur shesram mahadru leinu mitoicha. So now we're saying this. I'm sorry, I read it wrong. I mean, I read it not clear. Rabbanon amar Rebbe Eliezer tzidur shesram mahadru leinu mitoicha. Now you're saying the Rabbanon. What happened? Rebbe Eliezer said tzidur shesram, and they answer back. They start talking about the whole yard, right? He's saying apples. They're answering back oranges, right? This is what Rabbanah telling Rabbi Elazar. Wouldn't you be minded to us? Aren't you minded that if you take it from the actual field, from the actual yard to Rishus Harabim, then you potter because it's a carmelis, right? Like you said, David. So the sides should also be no different. Rabbi Eliezer says, no, Hasam like a Darcy Rabin. No, in the yard, the Rabbin doesn't frequent the actual yard. But here on the sides, the Rabbin does go there. So therefore, that's considered like a reshus Rabbin. Bottom line is that this is why you can't paskin from a Mishnah. Because if you read the Mishnah, it sounds like Rabbi Eliezer says, the field becomes a reshus Rabbin. Any yard that doesn't have a mechitza between that and reshus Rabbin gets adopted with reshus Rabbin. And the Gemara asks about it, and the Gemara gives two terutzim. According to both terutzim, the yard does not, even according to Rabbi Eliezer, the yard does not become reshus Harabim. It's either tzidei reshus Harabim, right? Or it's only if the Rabbim happen to walk through that area of the field. But if you have neither one of those, or one or not the other, then it's not going to be considered a reshus Harabim, right? So that's not what Rabbi Eliezer meant. According to all opinions, Rabbi Eliezer is just not saying that a field is considered a reshus Harabim, and that's why.
Yaakov.
Yeah, go ahead.
So where you go to the country. So Max Yasker's farm by Woodstock, it's private property, but it held 600,000 people, and all the fences were torn down. And it was over Shabbos. I mean,
right.
So it was that.
So you're saying, so what would be the status of that?
So, Rabbi Aaron, we just discussed that if the eruv was come down while on Shabbos, you weren't over, and I'm not you, but
No, maybe it came down Erev Shabbos. I don't know if it came down Shabbos or not.
Right.
I was not there, but there were people that we know who were there.
Well, more recently, the Coachella that they have in wherever that is, they had a Pesach Seder also, and they had
what?
There's like a music festival called Coachella, and they have
where in that farm?
No, it's in like California, the West Coast somewhere. It's like Vegas.
yeah.
No, but did they have that many people?
They have a lot of people.
Yeah,
It's outside a lot of people.
Yeah.
But they have tents with like Shabbos meals and like stuff like
they
that.
make an eruv?
I have no idea.
But
I don't even know if they make kiddush. I'm just saying they have Shabbos.
I know at least 2 weekends of from people that went up to Matt Yasker's farm at least last summer. I know at least 2 Shabbosim that there was a whole crowd up there for Shabbos with Sifrei Torah, the whole deal. I know Sifrei Torah, Sefer Torah. One Shabbos I got a call 2 summers ago. I got a call right before Shabbos. You have a Sefer Torah for us? We're in Matt Yasker's farm for Shabbos. I think if you think that's where, even if I had a Sefer Torah, if you think that's where I'm leaving my Sefer Torah over Shabbos, I mean, I've done some crazy things in my life. That wasn't going to be one of them, right? Whatever.
I thought they called you down in the middle of lane in Shabbos day because they had a suffix on one of the words.
Yeah. I'm sure there were plenty of sfekas. Okay. Anyways,
does this sugya make enough gemina and other halachas?
What do you mean?
I mean, I'll take a page out of Reb Aaron's book over here. My shver told me years ago he had a maisa where the bacher came knocking on his door, first day of Zman in Darche, and he opens the door. The bacher asks him, "Would you mind, please, making a claim on your home insurance policy for my tefillin?" He said, "What happened? I just got here. I left my suitcase on your front yard, and someone stole it." My shver likes the chutzpah of it, but whatever. Lemaisa, those yards have no fences. So if the machlokes is if it's here, if it's a reshus harabim or a karmelis, lahalacha, if my shver would be, not my shver, whatever, if someone would be a really nice guy and decide to make a claim, is he allowed to make such a claim, lahalacha?
I'm saying what? Okay.
Rebbe Eliezer holds it's reshus harabim. It's not.
Yeah, but why does he hold it to reshus harabim?
Well, that would apply to my shver's yard too. Hezika barabim. Everyone walks all over it.
Yeah. So Enochanami, it might be.
Even though Pashuchat and the Rabbanim, that the whole thing's a karmelis. Yeah. So it's still not reshus hayachid. It's just in halacha hilchos Shabbos that it's a karmelis, but that's them it's reshus hayachid.
I don't know. L'chayra. No.
If I own something on my front yard, can I make a claim?
Right.
Probably not. No one's going to pay it.
Why?
I don't know. I didn't think that's how homeowners work. If someone stole a bicycle off, out of your yard.
Negligence.
Yeah, but it's a different reason. Because it's not shamur. Not because it's not my property.
Avi, why couldn't he make a claim? What's the problem?
Yeah, you can make a claim. If they decide not to pay, they don't pay. But am I allowed to make a claim if it's not considered reshus hayachid?
Right.
Right. That's all I'm saying. Exactly. Right. Yeah, you could make a claim, but that probably won't pay.
So I'm asking if you're even allowed to make a claim.
The insurance companies hold like Rebbe Eliezer? Why wouldn't they pay? Guy has a $5,000 bicycle and somebody takes it from his yard, so why wouldn't they pay him?
Because it wasn't locked up.
Oh, I don't know all the rules of insurance companies.
Right, that's what he's saying. It's no shock to what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking.
But I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, we got it. It's 1:45 already. 46. Sheesh. Time. I don't know what took so long. Okay. Okay. Let's go back. Yeah.
It's not even me this time.
Maybe
Look
if
at
we
that.
started at 8:30, we'd be okay.
Oh, don't get him started.
Hey, listen.
Don't. We haven't had this fight in a while, so you know what? We gotta. Okay.
Good to refresh it every once in a while.
I can tell you right now, Motzei Shabbos we're not having right after Shabbos. How's that?
Wow, what you decide
I think
to do? All
so.
this
No, I
above
gotta give
again?
another share. And I don't think it'll work out. Whatever.
Parents,
Okay.
are you coming this week to Father Son? Because the prizes were a joke.
I spent 3 hours trying to find stuff today.
Okay, there you go. All right, let's go. Zok the Mishnah. So you have a yard that also, again, the fence fell to reshus Ram on two sides, right? Not one side, two sides. The Gemara is going to ask, why can't it just be one side? Why does it have to be two sides? And a house whose two walls fell down. And a mavoi, that its beam fell down, right? A mavoi only needs a beam at the front or a lechi at the front, then it's mutter on that Shabbos, and it's aser la'asid lavai, right? Meaning why? Because he holds clearly that once the eruv is up on Shabbos and functioning, if it comes down, it stays mutter. If you're going to say it's mutter for that Shabbos, it's mutter forever. If it's also forever, then it's also for Shabbos. Meaning, what Gemara is going to say later on, that Rabbi Yossi is saying that it's obviously no good, right? It's both. It goes hand in hand. If it's no good for this Shabbos, it's no good for all Shabbos. If it's good for this Shabbos, then it's going to be good for all Shabbos.
When they say it's good for all Shabbos, that means you don't have to fix it after Shabbos?
Correct, right. But what he's saying essentially is, that it's no, you got to fix it for this Shabbos, and therefore
he's saying it's absurd.
Basically,
right.
Yes.
He's really being facetious, right? He's not.
Yes, that's what the Gemara. The Gemara doesn't say that he's saying it like that, but that's what it seems like the Gemara. Yes, that's what the Gemara is going to say. He didn't really think that this eruv, once you build, although I shouldn't say this now on a recording, but unfortunately there are many eruvs in America where it was kosher for one Shabbos, and they say okay, they think it's kosher for the rest of their life. Unfortunately, but whatever. Yeah. Anyways.
Isn't that one way you check if someone's going out of town for an eruv? You ask the budget for checking.
Yeah. Okay, so Gemara says, but Maya Skinon, what are we talking about here? How big was this fence broken? If it's 10, Mishna miruach, meaning if it's what do you call it? If it's up till 10, that's what that means, right? So then we know that any fence could have a break of up to 10 amos, and it's kosher. So the Mishna miruach achas the amar pisrahu, right? From one side, you're going to say it's an opening. If it's broken on two sides, then it's also going to be an opening. So it can't be that the opening is less than 10. It must be talking about more than 10. If one fence on the yard has an opening that busted bigger than 10, so then it's also going to be a problem. So Amarav, it's talking about with 10, an opening of 10 or less than 10. But we're going to where it had a hole in the corner. The pischa bekeren zavis layav the inchi, and this is an important rule for anybody that's building eruv. And a lot of times this comes up, and a lot of times for those that don't use eruvin, it comes up in a yard that a opening on a corner, people don't make a door. Why is 10 tefachim? Why is 10 amas an opening? Because people make a door. The maximum door size a person will make is 10 amas, right? But nobody makes a opening of 10 amas on a corner. Right? You ever see a house that has a door on a corner of the house? Right? Now you're going to say, 1 second, you're going to say, what's a corner? Oh, so I have my trusty Lego over here, right? And is this a corner right here? Is this a corner? That's not a corner. That way you would be able to do 10 amas. A corner would be, 1 second, where's my hand? I can't even see. Now, if the opening is like that, that's a corner, right? It has to be mamish like this. If it's only like this, that's not a corner.
What do you mean?
Okay? This is not a corner. This is a regular break in the wall.
Okay.
It has to be, move that out of the way. That's a corner.
Like the entrance to
Right.
City Field, by home plate entrance. That's the corner.
You mean it's
the whole
got to be a
corner.
45, you're saying?
Right.
A 45 angle?
Right, that's the corner, right? The corner entrance.
Once it
by
goes
City
to a
Field,
90,
Kaka.
you're saying then it's already a break.
Correct. Now I'll tell you, for those that come to the minyan by my mother's house, right? So you're confused why in the front yard I don't use the eruv, in the backyard there's no eruv either. The reason is because it's enclosed. Oh, there's a space between my mother's house and the neighbor's fence, right? But that space is less than 10 amas. Oh, it's on a corner, but it's not on a corner, right? Because it's a right angle. It makes a right angle. The house from the fence is just flat. It's straight on one end. Whatever. That's
Which house are you talking about?
my mother's house.
Yeah.
Between
The
her
back
house,
of the house is
the
on
fences.
V shape.
The fences on either side of her house is less than 10 amas. So therefore, the backyard, even though there's no eruv there, you can carry back there because there's no 10 amas breach. Even though you say it's the corner of the yard where it meets the back, where it meets the side of the house, that's not called a corner. A corner has to be on the angle, both sides. It has to be of an opening from each side, north side and the west side, or east side and the north, whichever way. It has to be on the corner. Yeah, has to be on the
Mr.
angle.
Yaakov, was that a tablecloth? It was a massive Lego army forming.
Where, in here?
Yeah, your camera's gotta be flipped, Yaakov.
Oh, I got it. Oh, yeah. So yes, that's the leftovers from yesterday's war with Eruvin. Yes. And the other thing is a fanny pack from Naftali's bris. If anybody wants, there's 2 Danishes here. They're welcome to come get it.
What did he name his son? Sviakov?
Close. Tzvi Aaron.
He's in there.
He didn't want to make it too obvious.
To give Naftali credit, he told Rabbi Yeager today, he says, he was talking to somebody else, and he said, I named him Tzvi Aaron, not Tzvi Yaakov, I named him Tzvi Aaron,
That was for my mother's sake, so that there's no, between Aaron and Tzviakov.
There you go. Right. Anyways, yeah. Okay. So let's see. So now we said also the house has to have 2 of the things broken. So basically, we're going to have the same kasha. We're going to have a Machlokes Rav and Shmuel how to learn the pshat in that. So how come on one, meaning if the house breaks, one wall breaks, so we have tikra. Remember what tikra is? Meaning the wall of the house breaks, but there's still a beam going across the top. So that we said that beam encloses it, right? So why do you need one side of the house? It's tikra. So if there's 2 openings in the house, say tikra on 2 sides of the house. So no, it's talking about where it's parrots in a keren zavis, and the roof is on a slant. The lekal lememar pitikar yar v'saisim. You cannot say pitikar yar v'saisim. That's man, I meant to get that picture from the summer parrots, right? But I think I took a picture of.
Which email did you send it to me?
I don't know. What's it? Okay, meaning the point is that if the roof, I wanted my kids to make that too. If the roof comes down on an angle like this, you can't say pitikra. The roof has to be flat, right? Which most roofs of ours come off down like this. So you can't say.
Can you include the gutter, which is flat? Can you include the gutter, which kind of flattens it sometimes?
So that's a good question, but no, because it's not. It has to be what I think 4 tvachim. We said has to be 4 tvachim. But 1 second. But you're asking a good thing because most of our roofs, even though they're slanted over here, what do you call it? The soffit? Is it soffit? No, there was another word. Soffit it's called?
Eaves?
It's flat. The eaves, the soffit, the eaves, right? That would be, that's flat. So then maybe for our roofs it would work. Oh, very good, parent. Very good. He found it.
Yeah.
Right? You see what he see? The roof of this thing. The roof of this thing, you can't say P tikra on that because because
here?
the roof is on an the roof is on an angle. It's not such a great angle.
Tikra is that the roof goes down.
No, the tikra is the roof is flat.
Right, but the roof goes down. That's what it means.
So you're saying if like Klein Kaufman's roof extended out, you would be able to carry into there because it's a flat roof?
Correct. Right.
Study, whatever.
Right, but this you cannot because the roof is at an angle. So what we're saying here is that where this house busted up, the walls fell down. We're saying 2 walls fell down. It fell down on the corner, right? And so the opening is no good, even less than 10 amas. And you're going to say P tikra. You can't say P tikra because the roof is on an angle. Okay, so Amri Dvei Rav Mishmei Rav. So we just did that. And the beam is on an angle. The lekalamer P tikra you ever saw some. Shmuel Omar. 1 second. So it's Amri Dvei Rav Mishmei Rav. Just this is an important point for the next kasha in the Gemara, right? It doesn't say anywhere that this roof in the roof in the Mishna is talking about where it's on an angle. Meaning the point is that back then their roofs were flat; they were not on angles. To say our Mishnah is talking about a roof that's an angle is a very big chiddush. It's a very big chiddush to say that that's what the Mishnah is talking about. Right, so that's going to play a role in a minute. But Shmuel Omar said, "Shmuel Omar, no, the opening could be even bigger than 10. So if that's the case, right? So I'm sorry, why do you need 2 openings to be puzzle in the house? Just 1 opening is going to puzzle it, right? So we answer no because of the house, right? What is it? What? You need it because of the case of the house. So we'll see weiter. What's the house? But in the house itself, you have a kasha. Why is it that on one side you could say P tikra, but Meis Ruchas Nami name a P tikra? If you have 2 walls that fell in the house and the frame of the house is still there, you could say P tikra and you could still carry in the house. And then that's kasha number 1. So why do you have to say that the house fell in 2 places? Just say it fell in 1. Does Shmuel even hold a pitikar yevesaisim? For Itmar, we had this a couple of times. If we have the achsadra, what do we call that? Not the portico, the pavilion in a bika, right, with a flat roof. You're allowed to carry in the whole thing. Why? Because basically it's a flat roof, right, with no walls. So Rav says, good, you say pitikra on all 4 walls, and you can carry under there. Shmuel says, no, you don't say P tikra there. So you see clearly Shmuel doesn't hold the P tikra. When it says no, halakasha, ki lesle bedalid. When does Shmuel say you can't say P tikra? That's on all 4 walls. But if there's 3 walls that need P tikra, meaning if you have 1 kosher wall, then Shmuel says that you can make 3 P tikras. But when you have 4 walls when none of them are kosher, or you have no walls at all, then you don't say 4 P tikras. And what about the first kasha? Why do you need 2 walls to be busted? And this is a complicated one. Rashi has a design over here for it. Kedamri Beirav Mishmei Derav. It got busted in a corner. The kiruya ba'alafsan, like we said, and the roof is on an angle, so you can't say P tikra. So just like now, what does that have to do with this teretz? Right? This is very interesting Gemara here. And how did Rav answer? How did the Talmidim of Rav answer in the name of Rav? They said a teretz where it's talking about the house busted on a corner and the roof is on an angle. So here too, it's both busted on a keren zavis, the kiruya ba'arba, and the corners all have 4 tvachim, meaning you see the Rashi, it busted 4 tvachim, then 5 tvachim, then 4 tvachim, then 5 tvachim. I don't know. I mean, what's the chances of a house wall and roof falling down so perfect like that or close to perfect? But that's what Shmuel is saying, right? That's how it busted, right? So you can't say, so now you can't say all those P tikras. So Mamela, that's what Shmuel is talking about, and that's why you needed to be talking about 2 walls, right? Yeah, you hear what he's saying? Now, what does this have to do with the quote of Kida Amri Beirav Mishmei Rav? So basically, the way Rashi explains it is just like Rav had what's the word when you take, there's a word when you take poetic justice? Is that what it is? Not poetic justice, poetic license.
Poetic license.
Thank you. Poetic license So it's saying, just like Rav took poetic license to say pshat in the Mishnah that it's a roof like this, so Shmuel says, I'm going to take the poetic license and I'm going to say that the break went down like this and then across like this and then back down and like the Rashi has, right? It's very interesting that that's what Shmuel's saying. You have the right to do your poetic license. I have the right to do my poetic license. So now the Gemara is going to ask, okay, so why does it once they're picking poetic license, they couldn't agree which poetic license to take, right? Right. So Shmuel lo yomer kirav alachsan loikatani. It doesn't say alachsan in the Mishnah. It doesn't say the roof was with an alachsan. Alachsan means on an angle. It doesn't say that. For Rav lo yomer kishmuel because imkein havili achsadra. The way you're doing it, it's so open, it becomes an achsadra. Right? And Rav holds that an achsadra you can carry. Right? If you have an achsadra, he doesn't care that there's no four walls. You could carry in there the itmar. And now Baruch Hashem, the Gemara just repeats itself. The itmar achsadra bebika. If you have an achsadra in a valley, Rav says you're allowed to carry in the whole achsadra in the whole pavilion. You can't carry. Amos only in Arba Amos. You say P tikra is yard v'saisin. Fine. Okay. What time is it? 10:02. Okay. Since tomorrow's Thursday, we're going to do a lot. We'll go a few more lines. Not a hard Gemara. So now the Gemara changes gears here, and it starts with what exactly is the Machlokes Rav and Shmuel by P tikra. So be'eser kuli amalei pligi. When it's 10 amas and more, meaning when the P tikra is more than 10 amas, so it's like a very large P tikra, right? Let's say it's 20 amas long. The wall busted, it's 20 amas long. So be'eser kuli amalei pligi. There's no machlokes that you are, what do you call it? That you're allowed to. I'm sorry, I mixed it up. Be'eser always means till 10. Up until 10, Rav and Shmuel say, meaning if your pavilion is less than 10 amas by 10 amas, both Rav and Shmuel say you say P tikra. Ki pligi be'eser me'eser. Where's the machlokes if it's bigger than 10? Where Rav says you could say P tikra if it's bigger than 10 amas, Shmuel says not. Vika da'amri, the opposite. Be'eser kuli amalei pligi. When it's more than 10, everybody agrees that you cannot say P tikra. Ki pligi be'eser, anything up to 10. For Hadamar Rav Yehuda, so this the Rav Yehuda says, now on to the next Amud. Kaira, we'll go to the two dots. Kaira, Dalid, Matir, Bechurva. Right? We said that if you have a beam in front of a destroyed house that's 4 tfachim wide, right? So here, right, this is the source, that a P tikra needs 4 tfachim. You're allowed to carry under that beam because it's 4 tfachim wide, and both ends of it we say P tikra. So right under that beam, you're allowed to carry 4 tfachim. And a kaira of 4 will be mati you to be able to draw water. So money, who is this like? So right, lahach lishna damer be'eser loy pligi. So it according to the Mandam it says that up until 10 there's no machlokes. So be'eser v'derei kol. These two shitas are talking about where the beam is less than 10. It's going according to Rav and Shmuel. But the one that says that the machlokes is with 10, then this is saying kirav, right? Because Rav is going to say you would always say P tikra even if it's more than 10, but Shmuel would disagree. Fine. So where it says Lema Abai v'Rava Palukta the Rav Shmuel complete. Let's say Abai and Rava are having a machlokes and Rav Shmuel. The Itmar Sika Chagabi Achsadra. Right. So again, we said this before that if you make a sukkah right on top of an achsadra. Yeah. Now, achsadra again, here achsadra means like a portico. It wasn't meant for a sukkah. It's going to be important in a minute. It wasn't meant for a sukkah, right? You just put schach on top of this portico. Sheyesh lapitzimin. It has beams. All it has is like these 4 beams, right? And you had a portico. You threw schach on there. So can you use it as a sukkah? It's a kshera. It's kosher. Ein lapsimin. If it doesn't have these beams, so Abaya Omar kshera. Abaya says it's kosher. For Rabba Amar Psula, and Rabba says it's possible. Abaya Amar Kshera Amar P tikra Yovisosim. There's no walls to the sukkah, so it must be you say P tikra goes down in the soisim. For Rabba Amar Psula, Loi Amar P tikra Yovisosim. Rabba says the sukkah is possible because you don't say P tikra. So L'chayra Abaya and Rabba having the same machlokes as Rav and Shmuel, right? So Lema Abaya Karav and Rabba Kishmuel. So say Abaya says like Rav and Rabba says Shmuel. So Gemara says no. Liable the Shmuel Kuli Amalei Pligi. according to Shmuel, nobody's arguing, right? That sukkah's puzzle. Ki pligi aliba de Rav. They're having a machlokes in Rav. Abaye ke Rav. Abaye just holds like Rav and says pi tikra. Rava ad kan like come Rav hasam ela dahani mechitzas lach sadra vidi. Rav says that when the mechitzas were made for the achsadra, right? You planned on making an achsadra there, so then we say the beams go down. Aval hacha dahani mechitzas lav l'sukkah vidi. Like these mechitzas that you threw the schach on top of, they weren't made for sukkah. They were meant to be, I don't know what they were meant for, but they weren't meant for a sukkah. So therefore, you can't say pi tikra. Even according to Rav, you wouldn't say pi tikra according to Rava. Okay, fine. Good to know, everybody.
According to Rava, this should be backwards. We just finished saying on Amud base that Shmuel only doesn't hold pi tikra v'saisim by all four walls, but by three he does. Right?
Yes. Well, by the way, you see that long Taisvis? Starts on Amud Aleph. Starts on Tzadi Dalet Amud Aleph.
Yeah.
Have fun with it if you want, because that's Taisvis has a different girsa, and he totally learns a different Machlokes Rav and Shmuel when you say pi tikra or not. Yeah.
But according to the way we learned it, that on three Shmuel says it. Why would he not say it by sukkah? I only need three walls.
Yes, what are you saying?
He should say pi tikra v'saisim.
On three walls.
Yeah.
You're saying you should say pi tikra yared v'saisim, but he's saying that that's only if the walls are there for a specific reason.
Who says that's Rava? I'm saying, according to Shmuel, the Gemara said, according to Shmuel here, Kol Yalma Loi Pligi, that it doesn't work because he doesn't hold pi tikra yared v'saisim. I'm asking, he should hold pi tikra yared v'saisim. The Gemara could have l'chayra said that the same machlokes Abaye and Rava would be in both Rav and Shmuel.
Again, what are you saying?
The Gemara, Lanias Daiti, could have said the same machlokes is applicable according to Shmuel also. Abaye can hold in Shmuel the pi tikra yared v'saisim on three of the walls.
If Abaye says you say pi tikra yared v'saisim on three of the walls.
No, Shmuel holds on Amud base.
Shmuel, according to our Gemara, says three walls you would say it.
Then that's enough for sukkah. You don't need all four walls for sukkah. Sukkah only needs three walls. So why can't the Gemara say here the bein l'Rav, bein l'Shmuel? It's the same machlokes, it's Abaye and Rava.
But there's no wall here. I understand. You don't even have one wall here.
Pi tikra yared v'saisim, right?
No, but Shmuel needs one real wall.
Why?
Shmuel holds you need one wall. Then you could be matter three others.
The word is he needs one wall, or he won't say it on all four.
No, you need one real wall. You need one legit wall. According to Taisus, you need two legit walls. Right?
I hear. Yeah. Yes, clear.
Right, that's what it is. Now you got to look at the Taisus, which I just glanced at. So don't think that I did that whole Taisus. But that's what and it seems like we paskin like Taisus, not like our pshat, which I meant to look into today. For Shteitzach, I didn't. Right, so I'm going to try and look into it a little now, but yeah.
So Taisus is basically going with, since the house still has two walls, that's when he would say it.
What are you saying?
They're looking at the Gemara from different directions. Rashi's looking at it from the Pirtzis in the wall, and Taisus is looking at it from the remaining walls.
Oh, you want to say that's pshat? No, I think Taisus really had a different girsa. No? Okay, but that's
Gosh, Roman bruise nuts. Yeah, because guess what? It's gonna be a pump.
That's so.
18.6 million.
Well, Tosis is going to make my kasha in this Gemara a lot worse.
Yeah.
Tosis says that Stamach Sadra has 3 mechitzas.
Yeah. What are you saying?
Tosis says that a Stamach Sadra has 3 mechitzas.
Right.
He has a different girsa. Because of that, he needs a different girsa.
Right.
So if that's Tosis' girsa, what does he do with our Gemara? You have 3 mechitzas, and the Gemara says here Shmuel doesn't hold tikra.
Hold on.
Tikra al gabi achsadra sheyesh la patzimin.
Right. And what's he going to do with this achsadra here?
Yeah. Oh, because the Gemara says sheyesh la patzimin. It doesn't have walls. Maybe that's where Tosis gets it from. Fakert.
Right.
The Gemara had to say sheyesh la patzimin. That means that a regular achsadra ain't la patzimin. It has mechitzas.
Right. I hear. I don't know. Ich weiß nicht. I didn't do the toast. It was too stark.
When we were talking about the Rav and Shmuel and the weekend, like Shmuel was right. It was Shmuel's town that he was in, right? So Rav didn't paskin, right? He didn't. He turned his face. So
what do you say?
We said that Rav and Shmuel, right? Shmuel's town that and Rav turned his face, so people didn't see like the wrong answer, right? Like that Rav turned his face when Shmuel put the mechitza up because they didn't want anybody to think that he was. You didn't want people to think that he was agreeing, right?
Right.
Imagine if it was the reverse. That Rav was like they had like a question and answer situation, right? And he paskin the halacha, right? Somebody asked him a shaila, paskin halacha, and he's like, of course you could do whatever it is, And the Rav and Shmuel, who's the Talmud, right, was like, well, I've been paskining different like the whole time, right?
I don't know if he's a Talmud. I don't know. He's not a Talmud.
Talmud, the contemporaries. Okay.
I don't know. It's interesting. He's much younger. He's much younger.
Right.
Right.
It's still
it's
like
very interesting that the Shach and the Taz, right? They always arguing on each other in Shulchan Aruch.
Right.
The Taz was born before the Shach and was nifter after the Shach. Right? It's wild that the Shach takes him on, and the Shach sometimes takes him on stark. Right? Yeah, whatever.
I thought you were going to go into that Maisa and Hilchos Treifus.
Which one?
The Taz. Someone came to the Shach with a shaila he was from the Taz's town or area, and the Shach was the up-and-coming Gadol Adoir. He was young, but he was already printed in Shulchan Aruch. So he went to the Shach with a shaila about his health. And so I don't know if he wanted to move to Eretz Yisrael. And the Shach said to him, I paskin, the problem you have is a treifa. The Taz, who's the Gadol in your area, holds it's not a treifa. You should go to the Taz, ask him. He'll say you should go.
So we have
That I'm saying that was
right.
I'm mixing it up with it.
We have that here in my community, like Rabbanim come down like that are Rabbanim of the rabbis in the community, and they have like question and answers and stuff. So like happened to been like one week, Rav Shefter was here,
right?
And they had question and answers, and like you ask him a question, if you're not specific, he's gonna answer you matter of factly. Like that's just like the way he is.
Right.
So somebody got up and said, "Can you swim on Shabbos?" So he's like, "Of course." It's like, why can't you swim on Shabbos? Not getting into the whole drying off what the problem is. I mean, like it's like a mikvah. Like what's like okay, it's not thinking like recreationally. Just like, can you go in a pool on Shabbos? Yeah, technically yes, you can. That's how he answered the shaila. And then like Motzei Shabbos, the Rav of Shul got like 1 million text messages like, "Oh, we heard Rav Shefter said you can swim on Shabbos. What are you doing?" He's like, "I didn't say that. That didn't happen." Like, You weren't there. You didn't see it. You know. It's just funny. Like the opposite. You get the opposite sometimes. So like the Rav is there, and like you want to give kavod, and he's giving not possibly. He's like saying halachic stuff, and like messes up how your posture.
True, it's true. You got to know your community. 100%. You got to know your community.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of. All right.
It's funny. Yes.
You know what I'm going to ask you?
I don't know what you're going to ask me.
I was thinking, do you have a shot on
I don't have shot. I don't have a shot.
Okay.
I don't know.
Where should I look? I looked in like the standard, like where should I?
I don't know. Check Masifta maybe.
Okay.
Maybe you have access. They have Masiftas in Phoenix.
I think in the Kyle they have. I'll look tomorrow morning.
Kylo has a Masifta. What kind of Kylo is that?
A good one. I'm really getting it tonight.
Yeah. Anyways,
thank you.
All right, I got to sign off. All right, everybody.
Are you real busy tonight?